Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. In a major security breach in Parliament today, the first of its kind since the Parliament attack in 2001, and exactly on its 22nd anniversary, two men jumped into the Lok Sabha chambers from the public gallery and opened canisters that emitted yellow smoke, triggering chaos inside the House. Two others were also detained outside Parliament for protesting with similar containers releasing yellow smoke. These protesters were even raising slogans like Tanashahi nahi chalegi and Kala Kanoon Wapas Lo. What they were talking about specifically really has escaped everyone. All four protesters were detained and the investigation is on their antecedents. Police sources also tell CNN News 18 that one more person who was filming these intruders has also been detained, while another is on the radar. All suspects were part of some group called Bhagat Singh Fan Club, and they were in touch through social media. Now, Lok Sabha Speaker has assured parliamentarians who naturally have a lot of questions that all details about this investigation and what happened will be given to them. We could also expect a statement by Union Home Minister Amit Shah tomorrow. While that process is on, there is of course shock over how something like this can even take place in the first place. The Indian Parliament should be one of the most secure buildings, if not the most secure building in India, especially when in session. So how can a breach like this take place? Why is the Indian Parliament still vulnerable 22 years after that attack in 2001? We'll take that question to our guests in just a bit. But first, let me take you through these visuals. Visuals from both inside and outside the Parliament where the intrusion today took place. So on that side is the visual from inside Parliament where a man jumped from the public library or the public gallery during the proceedings and frantically started hurling over the desk, while his accomplice, who was not caught on camera till that time, unleashed the smoke from the visitors' gallery, which shrouded the Lok Sabha in a yellowish mist. Later on, the MPs there actually overpowered both individuals and they were ultimately detained by the security personnel. This is the situation that transpired outside Parliament or close to the gate of Parliament, where a man and a woman were detained by the cops for doing virtually the same thing but outside, raising slogans and also releasing that yellow smoke as a mark of protest. These two protesters were also detained by the Parliament Street Police, and of course all four are in custody. In fact, there are 5 now in custody, 6 on the radar. But let me also give you some more details about these intruders. So the ones inside Parliament, there were 2 of them. Intruder number 1, or one of them, is named Manoranjan, aged 35 and a resident of Mysore, a computer engineer, we're being told by profession. His father has informed CNN News 18 that he was unemployed. There is another intruder inside. We cannot identify which one is this man, but Sagar Sharma, age is unknown, but his is the name that appears on the pass which was used by the visitors to enter the public gallery, and police are trying to find more details about him. Now let's get you more details about the intruders, but the ones on the outside. So Neelam is this woman who has been nabbed by the police and was caught outside Parliament, 42 years old, hails from Hisar, was apparently living in a PG. The family has also come out to say that they're unaware that she was even in the national capital. And number 4 is Amol Shinde, only 25 years of age and a resident from Latur district in Maharashtra. Now, this incident is big and this has become a massive issue because there is supposed to be multi-layer security as far as Indian Parliament is concerned. So take a look at what all these intruders managed to breach today. First up, there is of course metal detectors and frisking, which is at the very main gate of Parliament. Then there is another frisking point which is at the entry gate of the Parliament building itself after the main gate. There is also security presence in the corridor leading to the galleries of both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So there are security personnel present there. Mind you, the reason why this is a huge breach is because these people managed to carry those canisters of smoke. Even mobile phones or papers are not allowed inside the visitor gallery. So if these people manage to go through metal detectors of some kind or any other frisking of that kind, it has obviously exposed a lacuna in how they managed to do so and smuggle things inside. Allegedly, they did so by hiding these canisters inside their shoes. The question we ask is simply this. Today is December 13. 22 years after the attack in 2001, why is the Indian Parliament still vulnerable? Because this attack could have been much, much worse.
जैसे उसको पकड़ा उसके बाद उसने तुरंत जो है गैस छोड़ी है, एक जो है येलो कलर की गैस थी, दूसरे वाले जो पीछे था उसने भी गैस छोड़ी है। एक बहुत बड़े सुरक्षा का हमारी एक चूक आज हुई है।
मैं आगे की था और मैं पीछे गया, उस लड़के को मैंने रोका, दबोच लिया उसको। और दूसरा लड़का था, उसके हाथ में कोई स्प्रे टाइप का स्प्रे कर रहा था, तो इस लड़के को दबोचा। तो उसके बाद दबोच के तो उसको ले जा रहे थे, और भी सांसद आ गए, सुख सकते में बाद में आ गए। तो इसने कुछ स्प्रे मुझे जुराब और जूते से निकाल के स्प्रे किया।
No doubt, it is a very, very serious security breach. And that breach was caused through a BJP MP from Mysore. We feel very unsafe in the parliament.
होम मिनिस्टर आने के बाद एक स्टेटमेंट दिलाई, क्या हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ, sufficient information not came. That's why the Lok Sabha adjourned.
Hello, Moto.
Let's go across to our guest joining us. Mahima Singh of the Congress Party will be with us in just a bit. Ellen Rao is former DCP Special Cell, Delhi Police. Colonel Rohit Dev is a security expert, and Tushar Gupta, as senior editor, Swaraj Magazine, is also with us. Colonel Rohit Dev, this is a very serious matter, and it is bringing back memories of the 2001 attack. What everybody is asking, and naturally, is that it's 22 years since that attack, and the Indian Parliament or our security apparatus has certainly become much wiser and stronger. And yet, two individuals managed to sneak in these canisters. This could have been a catastrophic attack.
Yes, I appreciate the concern which we as a nation carry today, and it's a sort of a blot on our security apparatus as well. I will not miss my words there. Having said that, compliments to the parliamentarians who actually were there to pin down those two people as well. Having said that, the breach can happen in 2 or 3 probabilities. A canister of this nature is not today a technology governed to have no metallic substance encasing it. So if it had a metal encasing, and which was visible in some of the media personnel who got hold of one of those canisters, that means that they would have gone if the same canister was used in the parliament. Then how did it penetrate through the metal detectors? It is not possible. And if it is possible, it is only possible due to connivances of people involved. Somebody may have let them go, which is unlikely. Which brings me to the larger question that there needs to be a detailed probe of this entire system, right from when these two people entered the first entry gate till they got on to the visitors, bench there on the top there. There were not many visitors today, as we saw on your channel as well. So I think we need to know that from where and at what point of entry or during their movement in the parliament did they get the possession of these canisters. That are the 2 probabilities I'm talking about. A, that they came in with the canister and the security was a little lax, and I'm quite sure the detectors pick up. You go to the airport, they have even the door detector, which is normal, which is not the full frame, also picks up your knees and your ankles and your upper torso in terms of the metal content.
But could it be possible that these canisters did not have metal in them?
It is possible depending on technology, but the one I saw with a few TV personnel in the lawns outside somewhere, I think that was metallic in nature. It was getting crushed by that margin, and you could see the texture of the metal there.
Yeah.
Second is, India cannot be lax anymore in any form in security, whether it is parliament, government institutions, or ordnance factories, defense installations. And this culture of somebody has signed and ye mantri ka aadmi hai, santri ka aadmi hai, has to go. Right from the president of India, probably can be pardoned because she has got her own security apparatus today, which is more empowering as she's head of the state. Rest every MP should also go through the same system. You do not know which MP will carry what in their bags, to make us look dirty tomorrow in front of the world. I'm quite certain we have this class of people today that we have to be very, very, very careful from
Okay.
that angle as well.
Okay,
So,
Ellen
so,
Rao,
so
former DCP Special Cell, Delhi Police is also joining us. I do want to understand from him, while the Delhi Police is not the only agency that is responsible for security of Parliament inside and outside, there are multiple agencies involved. This is a massive breach, because if somebody can smuggle in a canister, which it is expected to be of metal, then what else can be smuggled in? How do you look at, first up, at this security breach that has happened? Your first thoughts of how something like this can even take place, Mr. Rao?
Yes, ma'am. This is really a very serious security breach which has been noticed by all our Indian people, and definitely it's the same for our country all over world. But as you said that who is responsible, that is the matter which is being probed by that time. But I must
No,
tell you
I'm
what
not
is
asking you who's
there are
responsible.
three
I am
clear
saying,
systems
as
in
a police
security.
personnel,
Delhi,
what is your sense? How could something like this happen? Is it that these people were not properly fished, so it was human error and laxity, or is it that the technology failed us? What is your sense?
it is both.
It is
It is both,
both.
because the searching and frisking is done by the person who are sitting there. Two persons are searching one person there in their system, and the security is of three layer, and maybe the equipments which are installed there to search to find out these objectionable items. But this canister might not have been detected by that equipment. So it may be the both the equipment failure as well as human failure. I
Okay.
must tell you, Delhi police responsibility of security is outside the boundary wall of security, that parliament.
Right.
Inside the parliament, security itself is there, and then CRPF people are with the to assist all these things. So there are three layer of security. Nobody can challenge that three layer, but it has been done. That's why the probe is very important to find out what
But
was the motive, how
Mr.
they
Rao,
sneak into that.
Mr. Rao, would it be fair to say that, let's say, if somebody comes into Parliament with a visitor's pass, that pass is generally given at the behest of an MP, that security personnel could be a little bit lax, that they wouldn't imagine that somebody who's acquired a pass received at least from the office of an MP, could not be a suspect. Does it sound more like human error to you that these people were just not frisked properly?
Definitely, it may be possible, because the security person who are searching and frisking and looking at the passes, they are also at least a human being. They might be thinking that person has been recommended by some particular MP, that they are not so much serious about his identity, or the
Yeah.
searching frisking may be slacked in that point. So
Yes.
that the MPs who are giving such type of passes, they must be very sure the person who is being given such
But
passes
that's not something they
should
can
have
do, Mr. Rao,
clean
with due
incident, and he
respect.
should have a
The
good
MPs
reputation.
cannot really do any background checking of who they give a pass to. The ultimate responsibility is with the security personnel, both inside and outside Parliament. Mr. Rao wants
That
to.
I agree. That I agree,
Yes.
ma'am. But as you asked me that the person, it's a human error also. Human error means
Yeah.
that the person of the security person might have thinking that it has been recommended by MP, that he
They
might
could
not be
have
very
been
serious
lax, but
about
we
him.
don't know if that is the
So
case. It could also be that technology failed on both
but
counts. It
there
looks
should not
terrible.
be any laxity on the part of
Yeah.
security.
Colonel Dev,
On the
you
part
wanted to
of
come in
security, we
very
must be
quickly
very
before I
serious
go across
about
very
to
it.
quickly.
Tushar Gupta as well.
So let me tell you, I have been into Parliament a few times. Irrespective of who signs your permission, there are even metal detectors are also in more than three layers till you finally enter that Parliament. So all machines do not fail. It's not an error of the MP per se, because MP will give, and after that, what you do is your problem. But the security is never lapsed. I, as a veteran, have entered with the same kind of kit I'm wearing today. I have gotten familiar with a couple of guards while walking, because that's my nature as a military man. But each time I have gone, they have frisked me like any other citizen. So it's not to say that there's a laxity. It can happen with one in the chain. It cannot happen with all in the chain. So all
Correct.
the replenishment logistics of the parliament, the caterers, everybody else, everything needs to be reassessed in how you're doing it in the new parliament. I appreciate it's a new parliament, things are new, your movement of people, vehicles, logistic echelons, your parliamentarians itself is a little different. But I don't think so. In today's age, the equipment is failing you. If the equipment fails you, they always deploy dual checks on you if the equipment has physically failed
Yeah,
to
yeah.
check you physically. So it
Okay.
happens in airports. I'm quite sure it happens in the parliament as well.
You know, it is definitely a serious matter, Tushar Gupta. And, you know, naturally, there will be a lot of questions asked of the government of the day. Ultimately, security of Indian Parliament is, you know, their domain, and they will have to do the explaining of how something like this has even transpired under their watch. Because security or, better security, better sense of life and stability in India has been one of the cornerstones of the current BJP government.
Absolutely, Shivani. Look, what happened today in the parliament has sort of frightened us all, bring back some ugly memories of the terror attacks of 2001. But a detailed investigation is required because these people appear to be mere pawns in the larger scheme of things. On whose behest they were acting, on whose behest they made their way into the parliament. Of course, it's easy to narrow down on the MP who issued the visitor pass or who recommended the visitor pass. But I'm sure it's more to do with these people and on whose behest they were acting, who they were representing. Even the slogans they were raising, it was all very disoriented. We are, protesting against the torture of the government. We are against dictatorship. They made absolutely no sense. It appeared these people were just looking for attention. So a larger probe inevitably is required. A detailed investigation is required, and one hopes that authorities are already looking into how these canisters, more importantly, made their way into the
Yeah,
house.
yeah.
Because I
No,
agree with the fellow panelists.
yes.
Also, the security is very layered. It doesn't matter even if the Prime Minister of India has recommended your pass. The security, the way it works inside the parliament, and you have visited, I have visited, it's very, very layered. There are several, steps one has to go through even as a visitor. So how these canisters made their way, that's one question.
Yeah, I was speaking to a parliamentarian earlier, and he seemed to suggest that they were plastic containers. So maybe that is why they escaped the metal detectors, and maybe we need better quality of detectors so that they can also kind of detect maybe plastic bodies or products. But I do want to go across to Ravi Srivastav, who's also joining us. Ravi Srivastav, clearly heads will have to roll, because the Indian Parliament cannot be left so vulnerable, and it is a shock that even after 22 years of that 2001 attack, the Indian Parliament is still so vulnerable.
Agree with you, Shivani. It's a serious lapse, no doubt. And 22 years before, they invaded the parliament. They entered the parliament and they were surrounded by the security personnel, some of whom lost their lives as well. They were martyrs. Now, this time, they have come with an invitation. A BJP MP, Pratap Simha from Mysuru, issues the passes as if he does not know about what kind of people are they or what are they going to do inside the parliament. And this way, anything can happen. You know, there is absolute no accountability, it appears. The security, my friend, the security expert was talking about the layers. They cross through all the layers. The physical frisking or the metal detectors. I had been visiting Parliament for several times, and they are very thorough in their checking. I don't know how come this kind of lapse has happened. But
no, that's exactly the question. Certainly, a lapse has happened, and accountability will have to be set, and heads will have to roll. We cannot have a precedent where something like this happens in broad daylight. But Tushar, do you want to respond to what Ravi Srivastav is saying about the MPs? In this case, a BJP MP, I'm guessing that's why he's raising this question. But for example, any MP, can they be more careful? Should they also be more careful in dishing out passes?
No, of course, the MPs are very careful. It would be very incorrect to assume that any MP belonging to any party would just casually recommend someone for a visitor's pass. To, sort of narrow it down to the politics of the day would be very, very unfair. And Shivani, since we're talking about that, I must applaud the bravery displayed by the parliamentarians
Yes.
who were in the house at that point in nabbing the intruder. It was quite brave of what they did and how they nabbed that one man. So to play politics over it, I think it's very, very immature and uncalled for. Any MP, and I say this with all responsibility, any MP from any party would be very, very careful in issuing the pass. Of course, in this case, one one cannot say that the Mysore MP was anyhow aware of what was going to transpire.
No, in
on the
any
floor of the
case, I
House.
don't think a parliamentarian will be one foolish enough to issue the pass
Absolutely.
to someone to do something like this, because it can be easily traced to you. That would be the most stupid
Absolutely.
thing to do. But if there can be more protocols introduced to ensure that some sort of, some sort of greater scrutiny can be applied, there can be greater application of mind while you're issuing these passes, is a question that is open. Most parliamentarians today said that that's really not the fundamental issue, because we all issue passes. Public should be allowed to have access to Indian Parliament, and a lot of people want to come especially and visit the new Parliament. Colonel Dev, you wanted to come in very quickly?
Yes, just one point. I will not go into the politics of it, but the last part, which is the evacuation drill in a parliament.
Yes.
As that smoke, yellow smoke of incendiary was billowing there, somebody was packing his laptop bag, somebody was standing with his hand in his pockets. I think the parliamentarians need to be put through a course of evacuation drill. That SOP needs to be put in place, and there are many lacunae there as well. Today it was just an incendiary. Tomorrow it can be any poisonous gas. The chamber can be closed. I mean, you can't be so naive unless you are aware of what's happening actually.
Yes, Mr. Srivastav.
See, I just want to say that Mahua Moitra, who only shared her login ID with some outsider, has been sacked from the parliament. And here is a person who has issued the passes for people to enter
Apples and
inside.
oranges.
No. They are not related. Let's not get something else here.
Apples and
Mahua
oranges.
Moitra
This is no
should be
comparison.
invoked
This is
for
not how you
sedition.
deal with the situation
Nothing
like
less.
this. No.
That is absolutely wrong.
If this MP is proven to be involved directly, he should be also booked for sedition. So wait for this investigation, because that recommendation come from your ethics committee. Don't mix and play politics in security matters. You all have this all have this problem as politicians or the stooges to bring in politics into everything.
Okay, let's mind
Both
our
cases
words.
are
Let's not make any
absolutely
personal attacks.
divergent.
No, Tushar, I think there is while this is natural, because Mahua Moitra episode has just happened, and the report also mentioned that one of the reasons why she's been found to be guilty of the protocol or the ethics of parliamentarian was national security. But this is a difference between your action versus being held guilty for someone else's actions. While the parliamentarian in concerned here may have issued a pass, this is not legal jurisprudence that they can't be held responsible for what that person does when inside parliament. In Mahua Moitra's case, of course, she is guilty of her own actions
Directly.
of giving her login and password. So I'll leave that aside, but it's natural. It's natural in today's highly politicized world, Tushar, that these questions will be asked or these parallels will be drawn by politicians, or at least the
No,
opposition.
but is it correct? I mean, the opposition is free to draw all the parallels, and they're doing it rather immaturely on social media. But is it fair to draw parallels on such a serious security matter? We are not talking about the security of one party's MP or a group of MPs. We are talking about the security of all the 540 Lok Sabha MPs and all the other Rajya Sabha MPs present in the House. For the opposition
So
to
TMC
make
is
it
the only
about
party
my
that has
MP versus
officially
your
kind of
MP
made
on
this
such a serious
tenuous
security
correlation.
matter is rather
But I
incorrect.
don't see other parties, even India Alliance parties, having done so just yet. In fact, I'm going to play out a conversation with Karti Chidambaram, Congress MP, who has actually kind of sidestepped this and said that no, the two issues should not be mixed, and the parliamentarian concerned here should not be the one who should be hung in this case. But Mr. Rao, I want to take a word from you also on what needs to be done. Clearly there are lacunas, clearly there are problems, clearly there are issues. Access to parliament is important for Indians, but same access can also be misused. What do you think should naturally follow here? Should there be a revision of the protocols that are employed today?
This incident has taken place, no doubt in that, and we should now, apart from blame gaming and doing it politicized, we should think why it should not have happened in future, and we should revamp the security SOP, standing operating procedures. As you rightly said, that everyone has a right to visit to Parliament under some certain guidelines. So those guidelines and that SOP should be followed strictly.
Okay.
And no MP can deny passes to anyone because he is the person from that locality, and then from the constituency he cannot deny. But he, at the same time, he also cannot watch for the person what he will do inside.
Yeah.
But if somebody has done this thing, that now these persons should be interrogated thoroughly and exemplary
punishment should be done at a very early stage, so
Okay.
that there should be an eye opener to others, and so nobody should dare to do all these
Yeah,
things.
absolutely. A message has to be sent that Parliament security or the premises of Indian Parliament cannot be tampered with like this. I do thank all of our guests for joining us.